Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. Well, we all knew it was going to happen sooner or later, but my jump pack finally gave it up. It soiled the bed. It just doesn't have the amps it used to have. And that makes it very frustrating. I use a jump pack almost every day. Even if I put a battery in something, a lot of times for troubleshooting, it's just handier to have the ability to turn the power on and off with the switch. So given that, old yellow has gone to greener pastures, there's still a little bit there, but not enough to turn over a starter. So it's about done. Anyway, I went to see my friends at Harbor Freight, and I picked up this thing. Now, well, I had one concern about this jump pack, and I read it in the reviews. Everybody else's, there was one person who in the review, jump starting a vehicle, which is basically what I'm doing when I direct drive a starter. It says, hook up everything and all that, properly. Then wait 5 minutes. I'm like, what am I waiting 5 minutes for? So, that is one thing that concerned me, because I was concerned that, the power wasn't coming directly out of the leads, right? That it was, going through some timer circuit or doing some other silly thing. But it turns out that's not true. It's just like my old jump pack. You clip it on, you say go, and you turn the switch on, and you get all the amps right to the switch. Just quickly, let's see. I've already recharged it, and when you recharge it, these lights blink, 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 and then back again, blink, 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 and then when it's fully charged up, this green light comes on. Once again, if you read the instructions, it says it could take up to 48 hours to charge. I plugged it in last night before bed, and I woke up this morning and these lights were no longer blinking. That light was on all the time. About care and feeding on this thing, you're supposed to charge it to full charge once a month. You're not supposed to drop it. You're not supposed to short the leads. On and on and on. Basically, everything I did bad to my old jump pack, you're really not supposed to do. Here are the specs. Obviously, 12 volts, 17 amp hours, 330 cold cranking amps. This jumper cable length, by the way, much, much better. These jumper cables, as you can see, really go quite a long ways. On my old jump pack, they were only like 17, 18 inches to start. So these were a pest, and as they got older, the insulation on them got stiffer. So I would always have trouble with these leads. You twist them around to clamp them on something, and because there was so much tension on the lead, right, it would pop right off. So that's a really big improvement. I already tried it, and I clipped it to things and turned it on, and sure enough, you can see the green light comes on. Sure enough, it turns over a motor just fine, so it has all the amps it should have. It has a work light LED. And then once again, if you want to see how the battery's doing, right, but then you got to turn it back off again or it stays on. Two 12 volt outlets. I don't use those. I use this strictly as a jump pack. It is on sale for $54.99, call it $55 minus 20%, which is $11, right? That's not small coin. That takes it down to $44. So $44 plus tax. Here in New York, that brings you back up to $47 and change. So it was a good deal from that point of view. what do I think of it? I like it, particularly the longer leads, the switch. It does everything I want it to do, the way it charges, the green light comes on. The yellow one, you really could never tell when it was fully charged. This one kind of tells you by the green light going on, which is a plus. So now I could tell the once a month that I charge it, if I actually behave myself. I could tell that I've charged it back up. I mean, you know, all the normal precautions. Don't hook up things backwards. By the way, if you do hook the terminals up and it's not turned on yet, it'll tell you that it's backwards. This will glow red, and then you put them on correctly and it'll glow green. So I mean, there are some additional safety features. My old jump pack, I think, was 17 amp hours, and this one is 17 amp hours. And the next one up from this, which goes for like $70, it has a compressor built in, but it has exactly the same 17 amp hour battery. So why pay extra money for a compressor if you're never going to use it? And if anybody's used those little compressors, if your tire is kind of, your car tire particularly, right? I'm assuming not everybody's going to use this on all-terrain vehicles. If your car tire particularly is a little low, it will bring it up, but you know, you're not. If you got 4 flats, forget about it. You get a tire and a half out of it. You know, you don't go all that far before it kills the 17 amp hour battery. That's been my experience. I have another one of these with the compressor, and now the battery's dead. Seems that if you use the compressor a few times, it seems to drain the battery at a very high rate, and it seems to take out the battery. That one particularly, the battery didn't last all that long in. So Old Yellow, out of all my jump packs, lasted the longest. I've probably got like 3-4 years out of it, maybe even more. I think I bought it before I started YouTube, so it might even be over 5. And once again, I've never really treated it very well. I've left it out in the cold, you know, upside down in the car, shorted the leads together. I've been really horrible to it, and it seems to have dropped it. Oh, must have been 100, particularly off of this bench. I'll walk by and knock it on the floor. So I've not been good to it, and it's taken a lot of bangs, and it's lived. I'm hoping this one does nearly as well. Its life expectancy is the biggest thing, but for $44, I consider it a good deal. The only thing that the other one had that this one doesn't, to charge it, this thing has, you know, the 2 prongs slip out the back. My other one has a plug in the side that you basically could plug into the same way. But mine also had, the yellow one also had a little thing in the front so that you can, it's basically a CC camera type plug, a DIN plug, where you can plug in and then plug into your car accessory lighter. We used to call them cigarette lighters. I guess they're called accessory lighter. I don't know. Could you say cigarette? Is that allowed here on YouTube? Anyway, you plug your accessory you plug into your accessory socket in your car, and then plug right into that. So you'd be able to drive around and charge it up. This one doesn't offer that. One would have to you know, get a 120 volt inverter and then run a little extension cord to the back of it and plug into it that way. Though the good thing is, once again, the green light comes on with the car accessory lighter. You had no clue when it was fully charged, right? Or I mean, you could always, it has a meter on it that you could you know, do the battery test thing, but even with that, like the one outside is telling me it's fully charged, but it doesn't have enough amps to really do a good job with a starter, right? Turning over a starter. So, would I recommend it? Yes, for 44 bucks, I think it's a heck of a deal, especially if you happen to be out on one of those cold nights and for some reason, you know, your battery takes a powder on you and you're kind of stuck, right? This thing might just be the difference between you calling the tow truck and waiting out in the cold and everything else, or starting right up and going home. So, you know, do I recommend it? Yes, very much so. I do recommend, with the caveat, you know, a lot of people like to put these in their trunk, and then 2 years later they go out there and go, I'm having a double bad day because not only is my car battery discharged, but my jump pack is also discharged. If you're going to bother carrying one of these in your car, you really should keep it up to par. Once again, that's kind of why I liked the jack in the front of mine. I used to keep it up in the front seat, and you know, I'd look at it and say, oh, you know, I haven't charged this thing in a while. Let me just plug it into the accessory jack as I'm driving about, and make sure that this thing peaks up for me. Where if you just slam it into your trunk, there's a good possibility you won't do that. If you do put it up in the front seat with you, rope it down to something, because if there's any kind of sudden stop or whatever, you really don't need this thing. I mean, it's got to weigh, I don't know, 20, 30 pounds. You really don't need this thing, you know, ricocheting off your dashboard or you or your passengers. All right, that about covers it. Any questions, please let me know. Once again, this 5-minute thing doesn't seem to be a big problem. So if anybody buys one and goes, oh man, what's with this 5-minute thing, and you bring it back, if when you turn it on, you get your 330 cold cranking amps right to the leads. I guess, I don't know. I guess what somebody must have done a study, and they think if you let it sit on the battery for 5 minutes, it'll revive the battery enough to make things go. Maybe, I don't know. To me, I've always just clamped them on and okay, go now. And that's the way I use them. But once again, there are people who read and follow instructions. All right, I want to thank everybody for watching this video. I enjoy all the comments. Please remember to keep your feet down, your heads up, and get out there and enjoy each and every day. Once again, please like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. If I get a thumbs down, just tell me why. Thanks. Bye now.